Here's an example of a full day of eating when I used to weigh 343 pounds. So I used to work 16-hour shifts as a nurse on the weekends, and on those days I used to love to stop and get McDonald's for breakfast. I would start my day off strong with a bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddle, 2 hash browns, and a large mocha frappe. This meal right here, that would be right around 1,390 calories just for breakfast. I would typically skip lunch, but I always had to have an energy drink midday, and for a long time my favorite was this Monster Pipeline Punch. 180 calories and 161 grams of caffeine. For dinner, I would take my lunch and go get some type of fast food. There was a period of time where I was really into Dairy Queen. So here is my Dairy Queen order. I would get a double bacon cheeseburger, plain and dry, and I would upgrade to a large fry and add a side of gravy to dip my fries in. And I would get a large Dr. Pepper to drink and a small cookie jar blizzard, which for those of you who don't know, it's basically just an Oreo blizzard and you add cookie dough and chocolate syrup to it, and I was addicted to those for a long time. This meal right here would be right around 2,290 calories. After I would get off work, I would always need a nightcap, and so one of my favorite desserts, and it still is my favorite dessert, is Pop-Tarts. I really like these hot fudge sundae ones, and they are 370 calories. So I added it all up, and that brings this day's eating to a total of around 4,230 calories. Now, obviously I didn't eat like this every single day, but there were a lot of days that I did eat just like this, and obviously over time that adds up, and that is how I got to be 343 pounds.
Here are some things that I used to do when I was really fat, food addition. I used to get 2 bags of chips and put them into one so that way no one knew I was eating 2 bags. I would get a bowl of Frosted Flakes and I would add a spoonful of sugar to the top. When I would make myself a bowl of ice cream, I would pack it down. That way I could add more ice cream into the bowl. When I finished my cereal and I still had more milk left, I would add more cereal to my bowl. When I would go to McDonald's, I would get a hamburger and fries, and I would put my fries inside my hamburger. When I used to order fast food, I would order food for the drive home and for when I got home. I used to eat so much that after I finished eating, I would end up throwing up because I made myself feel sick. I used to sneak food at night so that no one would see how much I was eating or what I was eating.
This is everything that I used to eat in a day as a senior in college that was rapidly gaining weight, even though I was going to the gym literally every single day and spending 2 hours there. And I couldn't figure out why I was gaining weight when this was the reason why. So typically I would have Chick-fil-A breakfast. I would have Chick-fil-A breakfast 4-ish times a week because there was one right across from my apartment, so I had to. So for breakfast, I would usually have the egg, cheese, and bacon breakfast sandwich, and then I would get coffee from Chick-fil-A, just like the regular iced vanilla latte, whatever it is. And then I would typically have the little hash brown rounds too. Then for lunch, I would get some sort of variation of Trader Joe's frozen meal. So this could vary in the calories that it was, but I will tell you that I would eat the entire bag of it. So those meals are typically good for 2 people. I would eat the whole thing for lunch. And then I would obviously need snacks in between, my lunch and my dinner. So I would typically have about half the small bags of Goldfish. And then I always needed a midday treat as well. So I would have 1 to 2 drumsticks, and those were the full-size drumsticks. Then for lunch, I also frequented the Chick-fil-A again. You should have seen my points. It was wild. I was specifically trying to get as high points as possible because I thought that I was cool for that. But I would get the chicken nuggets with Polynesian sauce, large fry, and then if I was feeling real extra hungry, I would get the peppermint shake if it was in season. And honestly, in December, I would get one every single time because those things hit so hard. Oh my gosh. Then I used to have an entire bottle of wine. Typically, me and my friend would watch Criminal Minds or Euphoria, and most of the time we would share it. We would share the bottle of wine, and then we'd order stuff off of like GoPuff, and we would order, I mean, I don't remember what she ordered, but I remember that I would order a sweet thing, like candy, like fruity candy, and then also a chocolate thing. So, and I would eat all of it that night as well. So.
Does anyone else have a really hard time with spicy food, but the taste is so addicting and you're so used to it now, you keep eating it knowing that it's not good for you? Yeah, not me.
What I used to eat a day when I was 215 pounds and not understanding why I was gaining weight versus what I did to alter those exact same meals and end up losing 70 pounds and maintaining my current weight at 145. I used to love starting my Saturdays off with an acai bowl. These are great because they're super nutrient dense, they're gonna have a lot of fruit, but little did I know that these are actually super calorie dense. Personally, I would get a pretty big one, I would load it up with tons of granola and top it with Nutella. But in my head I was like, it's fruit! Like, it's Bella Hadid, hello, fruit! So it was definitely to my surprise when I learned that my acai bowl was upwards of 1,000 plus calories. And that was just my breakfast. Like, we were just getting started for the day. Reminder that the reason I make these videos is not to scare you away from calories. I'm going to touch on this later in the video, so don't get afraid. That's not what we're doing here. Moving on, I would have to have my morning coffee. Coffees for me were always around the 300 to 500 calorie mark. If I was getting it at a local coffee shop, which is probably what I would do on a Saturday, I would say it was probably about 250 calories. So we are already at 1,250 calories for the day, and we haven't even had lunch. For lunch, my wife and I would go to our favorite vegan chicken sandwich place. These sandwiches were huge. And if you know anything about vegan chicken, it's that it's basically just bread. It's like wheat gluten. So definitely another really high calorie meal considering I would eat the entire sandwich, an entire thing of fries, a drink, and a couple servings of ranch. I don't know the exact calories for this because it wasn't a chain, but I would honestly guess this meal was 2,000 calories. It was extremely filling. And like I've talked about in other videos, a huge issue that I had when I was overweight was that I did not know how to listen to my hunger cues at all. If the food was in front of me, it didn't matter how full I was gonna keep eating it. And even at that time, I hated that I didn't have that skill because I constantly felt sick. Like, I would literally feel so full after a meal like that, but it didn't matter. Like, I didn't know how to just stop eating. Which leads me to the fact that after this, we would go get ice cream. Let's just say 300, 400 calories for the ice cream. I don't even know. I'm losing track at this point. For dinner, we would do some sort of frozen pasta from Trader Joe's. These are actually a really, really great option if you're eating in a deficit. I actually want to show you some videos. I want to do like a new series where I do like Trader Joe's pasta easy dinners. But again, I wasn't listening to my body. I was just eating and eating and eating. Probably paired this with some veggies, some bread, and then had dessert again. I don't even know the total amount of calories for this day, but I think it's safe to say that it's anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 calories. Anytime I post one of these videos, I get comments being like, well, how did you not know? Like, how did you not realize that you were going to gain weight if you were eating 5,000 calories a day? I had no calorie education at all at this time. I literally didn't know how many calories were in food, and I didn't know that in order to not gain weight, I had to be eating at my maintenance calories. To me, I was just eating 3 meals a day. Yeah, I had like snacks, dessert, coffee, but like I still do that now. So I really just didn't think that this was so crazy. I know that some of you are confused by that, but if you get it, then you get it. And if you do get it, I want you to know that it's okay. Like, we all go through this sometimes and it's tough, but here is the way that I was able to just alter the way I was eating like this in order to get the results that I wanted, and mostly just stop feeling sick all the time. Because despite even like wanting to lose weight, what I wanted more than anything at the start of my journey was to just feel better and not have this feeling of like overly full all the time. Okay, so we're still gonna get that acai bowl, but we're gonna order just a smaller size. Like, a huge key for me, guys, on my weight loss journey was literally just ordering smaller sizes of things. My eyes were always bigger than my stomach anyway, and so when I started ordering smaller things, I realized like, oh, that is the right amount that I should have been eating to begin with. So get a smaller acai bowl, and then I would ask for a little bit less granola. I would just say like, oh, like half the amount of granola. Same thing with the Nutella, just half the amount of Nutella. I use this hack literally all the time, like with my coffee order, we'll move on there. Swap the regular milk or oat milk for almond milk, it's gonna be lower calorie. And instead of just having the full sweet drink, just say, hey, can you make it half sweet for me? Well, I'm probably cutting out anywhere from 300 to 400, maybe even 500 calories just making those little. And with the coffee, arguably you're dropping 100, 150 calories, again, just making those little swaps. And I'm still getting to have my acai bowl, and I'm still getting to have my coffee. For lunch, we'd go to the same place, but we would literally just share it. The sandwich was huge. I didn't need the whole thing. Like I said, I was constantly feeling so sick afterwards. So my wife and I would just split the sandwich, split the fries. I'd have one thing of ranch instead of two, and I would swap for a diet soda. I'm getting the same amount of satisfaction, the food is just as good, and I'm not walking out of there feeling sick. We would still go get that ice cream, but I would, one, either order a smaller size, or two, share it with my wife. And when I was feeling full, I would stop eating it. For dinner, same thing. I'd be having a Trader Joe's pasta, but I would actually measure out the serving. It's usually like a cup or a cup and a half. So I would measure that out, and I would just make sure that I'm staying within the serving size, and then doing more veggies and a smaller piece of bread. And then for dessert, I usually just like to keep it like under 200 calories. Now, I don't have exact calorie totals for either of these days, like I said, but we can assume that the first day was about 5,000 calories, and the second day is maybe around 2,000, maybe a little bit more. Obviously, you need to figure out what your specific caloric needs are. You can do that using a TDEE calculator online. And I highly recommend, if you are going to eat in a deficit, do these two things before you do it. One is focus on getting yourself into your maintenance calories first. These are the amount of calories that your body is naturally burning throughout the day. Work on eating at your maintenance for a couple weeks before you go into a deficit, because you might be eating even a lot more than your maintenance right now. So it doesn't make sense to just like quickly drop into a deficit. You're going to be hungry, you're going to fail. And then when you do go into a deficit, do it slowly. Start by only subtracting 100 calories and then 200 calories. And truthfully, I never really ate less than 300 calories under my deficit throughout my entire journey. I never wanted to be in a significant deficit. I never wanted to lose weight quickly. I truly believe that slow and steady wins the race. I think that's why I had the success that I did. I lost that 70 pounds over 2.5 years because I wasn't in a rush, and I've been able to maintain it. And I really haven't had a hard time maintaining it. So don't skip those two steps. Anyway, the point of these videos is always to say that you don't have to be afraid of calories. It's okay to have big calorically dense days. It's all about balance and moderation. I definitely don't want you to ever be afraid of how many calories are in things, but if you are somebody who wants to lose weight without giving up the foods that you love, this is a really good way to do it. You don't have to stop eating those things. You just have to figure out how to order them and how to make little adjustments throughout your life so that you can slowly start to put yourself into a deficit over time. If you're not really sure where to start, you could grab this. I made it to literally help people who are in the same exact position as me. Has like all my favorite recipes that I used on my 70-pound journey. If you don't know who I am, my name is Coles, and I like to say that I help normal people lose weight in a normal way without being restrictive and while still eating all the foods you love, so make sure to follow for more.
Here is what I used to eat in a day when I was overweight but was convinced I was under eating, part 3. Before I get started, all of these comments going on about how you really thought you were under eating this much takeout? Yes, I didn't have any nutritional knowledge. I still don't know everything. And when you don't know anything like that, you're just assuming that a meal is a meal, not better or worse than anything else. And here is a very good example of that. Let's say I went through the whole day and my family and I decide we're going to get Chinese food for dinner. Here is my usual order. I would get a large sweet and sour combo with white rice. And if you know, a combo comes with an egg roll. And here is a perfect example of how those meals would show up to our door. Sweet and sour chicken, like I said, was my go-to, and that egg roll is in there. Huge bed of rice underneath. I hate to break it to you guys, but a typical Chinese meal can contain anything from 1,500 to 2,000 calories. That's if you only ate what you ordered. Now, if there was lo mein being ordered as well, some noodles, I'm gonna be digging into that too. And we don't know whether or not this includes the sauce, but this meal alone, while it probably didn't feel like a ton of food I was eating, it was more than probably the rest of the calories I ate that day. Because again, I was overweight, but thought I was under eating. So this was probably the biggest meal I was having that day, and it still wasn't a ton of food. Now at this point, I've had a full day of eating. I've had my Chinese food, almost about 2,000 calories just in that meal. My family likes a good sweet treat, but we did it the right way. And when I say the right way, I mean the big backed way. One of us would creep out from our rooms and say, does anyone want to go get Carvel? Does anybody need ice cream? It was bad influence with bad influence with bad influence. And with that being said, I would take my ass to Carvel with everybody's order. And since I was the one going out to get it, I had to get myself something delicious, right? If you're not new to Carvel, you know what this is. And the fact that I remember the names of all of these creations is just, it's clear I'm a former fat kid. Meet the Brownie Sundae Dasher. It's a friggin' sundae in a milkshake cup. So let's say I went ahead and got myself a small. I'm feeling skinny, I'm feeling frail. I got myself a small. 860 calories. This is atrocious. I was probably also eating this at like 11 o'clock at night. So to end my night, I had one meal and one dessert, putting me at 2360 calories. That's if that Chinese food meal was 1,500. We're pushing 3,000s if it was on the higher side. So again, how was I ever thinking I was under eating? Because that was one meal. I probably only had one other meal that day, and I'm still in a calorie surplus. So having a coffee in the morning as one meal, pretty much starving myself all day, and then having a big ass meal like that at night, I still am in a calorie surplus. Once you start tracking your calories, it's not something you have to do forever, but you at least need to figure out what it is you're putting in your body and how much of it. This way you can make changes to be able to see the results. I'm glad you guys are enjoying these though, so let me know if I should do a part 4.
Hey guys, I'm gonna tell you what I used to eat in a day when I was 40 pounds heavier. I've seen a lot of people do this. I honestly did not eat fast food for every meal. Didn't eat that much. I was overweight because the food I was eating was so calorically dense and not filling. So I was always hungry, and when I did eat, it was all carbs essentially. This was when I was in high school, but every morning I would go to Starbucks before homeroom. My homeroom started at 7:20 in the morning. So at 7 a.m. I would go to Starbucks and I would get a venti pink drink and a pumpkin loaf. This alone is over 600 calories. It was not filling at all. I'd be starving by second period. Then during school, I honestly did not eat that much. I would bring snacks. I probably would have a bag of chips or a sandwich at lunch, but it was never a lot of food. Let's say during school I would have another 400 calories. Now school is out, it's 3 p.m. and I am fucking starving. I would drive my ass to Wawa. East Coast people know it's essentially just a glorified gas station, but I would order a 12-inch hoagie, would get a bag of hot Cheetos, and I would put my hot Cheetos into my hoagie because it was good, or I get the jalapeno chips and put them in. The hoagie was probably 700 calories, the bag of chips 400. So this is an 1100 calorie meal. I'm at over 2000 calories now, and it's 3 p.m. This already is over my maintenance. Everyone's maintenance is different, but roughly it's around 2000 calories. So anything I eat now past 3 p.m., I'm in a surplus. It's a good thing to start thinking about when you want to lose weight, because even though you might not be eating a lot, it might just be very high in calorie and not filling. I would be snacking till dinner, so let's just say I had 200 calories worth of snacks, and then I had whatever my mom cooked that night. So it was typically rice and some kind of meat, 450 calories for dinner, and now we're at 2700 calories. Really got me was the nighttime snacking. So I have the biggest sweet tooth ever. A lot of the time this looked like getting Nutella and pretzels and dipping the pretzels in Nutella and just eating that. Totally fine to have desserts at the end of the night, I still do. But I'm never gonna sit there and mindlessly eat Nutella with pretzels. All of this is adding up. I probably averaged almost 3,000 calories a day. Obviously I was gaining weight. The days where it really added up is my everyday life, not the days where I thought I was eating badly. So this is something to keep in mind if you're trying to lose weight. Think about what you eat in a day. So now, for example, when I go to Starbucks, I'm not getting a pumpkin loaf, I'm getting the egg white wrap because it's I think it's like 200 calories and 20 grams of protein. I won't compromise fully. I'll get my pink drink, but I won't get a pumpkin loaf. I'm just a lot more mindful about how many calories I'm consuming every single day. I'm not weighing out my food and I'm not being fucking crazy with it, but generally I have an idea. So yeah, that's like my little spiel, but okay, bye.
I know I've been doing what I used to eat in a full day when I was overweight but thought I was under eating. But today we're gonna do snacks I thought were okay to eat when I was overweight, trying to lose weight. And when I say trying, obviously I wasn't trying very hard because these were the things that I was consuming. Starting off so strong, this was a snack to me. Even before they were the safe to eat raw ones, I was eating them. I was probably putting away maybe 8 of these bad boys in one sitting. I just did the math. That was 680 calories for 8 of these. 60 something carbs, 33 something grams of fat. No nutritional value here. They taste fire, but that's about it. Moving right along, specifically this tub of Toll House cookie dough. I have a vivid memory of going to Walmart, getting a tub of cookie dough, and it was really cold outside, so we sat in my friend's car and I held it against the car heater so that I could eat it quicker. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to eat this one raw, but that wasn't stopping me. And the macros for this are obviously very similar. Lots of carbs, lots of fat. And no, not helping my fitness journey. I don't know if you thought it was about to get better, but this is as real as it gets. As a child, if I knew we had baking ingredients in the cabinet, I would keep an eye on them, make sure no one was gonna need them for anything. And if enough time passed, I would take this and bring it upstairs to my own closet in my room. And anytime I needed a little sweet treat, I would go downstairs, get myself a spoon, bring it upstairs, and eat some of this frosting. I have no shame in admitting this. I would do it again if there were no type of consequences. We always had goldfish in our house, specifically the big carton of them. And the key to eating these as a child, you would open the carton on top, pour it over so that the goldfish would flow out, but they wouldn't spill out, so that you could just grab handfuls at a time. We were probably eating about 2 cups at a time, which the serving size is 1. So it's not terrible, but it's just empty calories, unfortunately. This is a good one. Ritz Bits cheese, not the peanut butter ones, the cheese ones. These smack, okay? I don't know what they put in these that makes them so good, but I would house a box of these in one sitting, easily. Again, something that's just empty calories and has way too much fat in it for no reason. And right in that category with the empty calories, double stuffed Oreos, specifically double stuffed. If you prefer regular Oreos, I don't know if we could be friends. The cream to cookie ratio here, it makes more sense. But the disgusting part of how I would eat these as a child is I would remove the cream from the cookie, put all of the cream from the cookies I was eating on one plate or put it on one of the cookies. Once I had ate all of the plain cookies, I would then roll the cream into a ball. I'm not kidding. Roll the cream into a ball and then bite into the ball. Are we joking? So you can tell my eating habits as a child were not the best, but that's what's fun about being self-aware and learning and growing and not doing disgusting things like that anymore. And the serving size of Oreos being 2 cookies. I mean, who's eating 2? Be so fucking for real right now. Thank you everybody who's liked, who's followed, who's commented. I'm really enjoying connecting with people who have had similar eating habits and are now learning from those mistakes. And like I've said before, I'm no professional. I am just a girl who lost a bunch of weight, and really I'm just trying to be a better me. And I'm sure that's what everyone else wants to do too. So if you want to see anything specific from me, comment, let me know. And if you are feeling inspired to start tracking your calories, Please also let me know because it makes my heart happy.
Here's what I used to eat in a day when I could not lose weight no matter how much I tried, despite following a healthy diet. Wait till you see the macros at the end. This will all make sense. I woke up every morning absolutely ravenous. It did not matter how much or little I ate the night before. I woke up starving. This is what I always crave. A large bowl of oatmeal, a large banana, a couple tablespoons of peanut butter, and definitely the kind with some added sugar, hydrogenated oils, and or high fructose corn syrup. And these were the totals to start my day. Being closer at the amount of protein compared to the amount of carbohydrates and sugar, it makes a lot of sense why I was hungry 30 minutes to an hour after this breakfast every day. The lack of fiber and protein in this meal and the large amount of sugar likely led to a huge blood sugar spike and, even worse, a huge crash not too long after the meal. I actually remember suffering from reactive hypoglycemia because a lot of my meals were very carb heavy, as you see as we keep going throughout the day. Lunch was always a salad. I added a ton of cheese, nuts, cranberries, olives, avocado, chicken, and a ton of olive oil for dressing. Breakdown for lunch, and overall 26 grams of protein, which again is pretty low, which is why I needed a snack almost immediately after. This was about an hour after my lunch, Greek yogurt and granola. Granola is always touted as a healthy snack, but it has a ton of sugar, which can actually just leave you feeling more hungry, which was always the case for me. Dinner was usually a small portion of something because I had grazed all day. I felt like my whole day always revolved around food. And as you can see the trend here, high carb, low protein. Overall, this is very low calorie for a meal as well, which would lead me to have another bowl of yogurt and granola or some sort of sweet snack at the end of the day. While all those meals actually contain really nutrient-dense, real food, the balance of the macronutrients in the meal is where the problem lies. I ended my day with only 83 grams of protein. 90 grams is the absolute minimum needed in order to facilitate lean muscle mass and keep your blood sugar stable and reap all of the benefits of a high protein diet. So my blood sugar instability, frequent headaches, frequent hunger, anxiety, shakiness between meals makes a lot of sense. When I started to take a closer look at my macros, this completely shocked me and I had to change my nutrition plan ASAP. Within 2 months, I lost 15 pounds, increasing my protein to at least 90 grams per day, increasing my fiber to at least 30 grams per day, and maintaining a good healthy fat intake at around 50 grams or more a day. This proves how important it is to have some sort of structure and nutrient goals to try and reach every day. Having a plan that followed the 90-30-50 method every day helped me consistently see results. If you're on your health journey, you feel like you're doing everything right, get a closer look at your macros, try the 90-30-50 method, and let me know how it goes.
This is what I used to eat a day when I had 20 pounds of excess body fat on me and I thought that I wasn't eating that much. And truly, I wasn't eating that much volume-wise, but I was eating calorically dense foods, which are foods that you don't get to eat a lot of and they add up quickly. Keep in mind, this is when I was in high school, okay? I used to start my day with some Special K cereal. I would say about 2 servings at that. If you have ever measured out a serving of cereal on a food scale, you would know a serving size is laughable. I'd pair that with some almond milk. I'd also have at least 4 servings of coffee creamer in my coffee. In total, that's about 500 calories and 6 grams of protein for breakfast. Terrible start to the day. For lunch, back then I didn't like jelly, I only liked peanut butter, so I would have a fat peanut butter sandwich, 2 slices of white bread, just generic white bread, and then at the very least, 2 servings of chunky peanut butter slathered on that bread. And then I'd also have myself a little yogurt cup and a cup of grapes. Again, that's really not that much food at all, but that totals 720 calories and only 26 grams of protein. So by the time school was over, I was obviously starving. This is where most of the damage happened, okay? I would go to Wawa, if you know, you know, and I would get myself a turkey hoagie with extra mayo, and I would add Applewood smoked bacon on it. It doesn't stop there though. I would also get myself a bag of chips, an Arizona iced tea, and then I would either get a pack of Take 5s or Starbursts, and I would eat the whole thing. That is literally my calorie intake for the day right now. That clocked in at about 1,930 calories and 63 grams of protein. But that is actually absurd. That's a crazy amount of calories to have for one meal. So in total, that entire day of eating was 3,150 calories, 95 grams protein. Not too bad on protein, but that was putting me in a major calorie surplus. And sometimes I wouldn't finish the entire hoagie, so even if I had half the hoagie, that's still putting me at 2,600 calories, which is a major surplus. Now we're gonna talk about how I would change this now if I was still eating the same things.